There we go. Again. All righty, now we're good. Good evening, one and all. I am excited tonight to bring you some more pictures from, in this case, South Africa. I have a few more animals to share, as well as some really gorgeous photos from mostly, outside Kruger National Park. So these will be fun. So let me advance our slides here. I can see where I'm going. Come on. That's nice. Ah, okay, perfect. So does anybody know what this is? You can unmute yourself if you know what that is. This, just hit *6. Nobody knows. This is a female kudu. And kudu are the largest antelope in South Africa. And this is a female, and she is just so pretty. She stands about the height of a mule deer, so taller than a white-tailed deer, Penny, and maybe a little bigger than a mule deer. I think a little taller. So this is her eating, and you can see her pretty. You see how slender she is, big ears like a mule deer, and when she lifts that tail, it's white, like a white tail or a mule deer. And the reason is why? We talked about that last week. Anybody remember?
So that the herd can see, so that the individuals can see where the herd is going.
Yep, as they're bounding through the woods or wherever they're going, that's a little signal flag. Exactly. Yep. Cool. Now this, I apologize, because this is a male kudu on the move, and he is just magnificent. Hoping Tamar got a better picture of a kudu male looking at her. We didn't see very many on this trip, which was surprising because Tamar and her sister Piper said that they used to be very plentiful. Now he's a lot bigger than she is. There's the back end of the male kudu. But you see how strong and muscular he is, but look at those incredible horns. Just beautiful, big, big being. Now, this is not a kudu. This is, anybody know what this beautiful antelope is? And this I'm excited to share with you because he was just sitting on the side of the road. This is a water buck, and water buck are quite unique among antelope for a few reasons. But look at those magnificent horns. He's just extraordinary. And again, he was just sitting there by the side of the road, completely unimpressed with our vehicle and not concerned at all. And there's a close-up of him. I just love how his nose is heart-shaped and those amazing, amazing horns. Big ears, the better to hear you with, my dear. And he has a thicker, as you can see here, thicker fur around his neck, which is just interesting, and a beautiful, it's not a beard, it's actually below on his chest, that white blaze. Now these are female kudu, and they still have that pretty nose, but look at that marking on the bottom there, on the bum, that everybody refers to as a toilet seat, which kind of irritates me. But this, again, helps them see each other as they're running through the bush. Now kudu are unique because they have, when they are either sexually excited or being or stimulated because somebody's chasing them, they excrete a musky scent through all the oil glands of their fur, which helps make them more waterproof, but it also is really stinky to predators. So it's actually a deterrent for the predators to bite them, to catch them, which is fascinating. I'm not aware of any other antelope that has that as a defense mechanism. They're called water bucks because they hang around the water. They can easily become dehydrated, so they're always around water. And they will actually run into the water when a lion or hyenas approach them, because they, again, with this excretion that happens on their fur, the water doesn't permeate their skin, so they can stay in the water a nice long time. So again, this is really a cool defense mechanism. And you can see on these females, these lovely females, this sort of thicker fur around their necks. But they're large. They're not as large as the kudu, but they're a good size antelope. And the difference between antelope and gazelles are there's the antelope are the bigger ones and the gazelles are the smaller ones. So in the gazelle family of the Thompson's gazelles, the impalas, the, there's a whole bunch. The giraffe-necked gazelle, there's, I don't know, five or six different gazelles, which are the smaller antelope. And then you have all the bigger antelopes from the kudu and the waterbuck and the, the toppy. And maybe some of you remember from my pictures last year from our trip to Kenya, that baby toppy being born, or we saw him just after birth. So those are antelope. They're big, they're the bigger guys. So after we left Kruger National Park, Brett, our intrepid guide, took us to some incredible places. This is one of the rivers, and I can't remember which one. You can see it's very misty. It started to rain, as I mentioned last week. We saw these, the lions and the hyenas who were basking and getting warm on the side of the road because it had been very wet and rainy. So that, for the animals, that wasn't lovely, except of course it made a lot more grass and stuff, but boy, did it create amazing waterfalls and rivers. So this was just teeming. I took a video of one of the other waterfalls because it was so magnificent, but I couldn't download it onto my PowerPoint because I wanted people to be able to hear the water, but I wasn't able to do that. But you can see how full this is. And again, this is outside the park. So this is where we're heading into the Blyde, B-L-Y-D-E River Canyon. And here's another, this isn't the River Canyon. This is a different river. But this beautiful, and it was windy and rainy, and I just had to get out and get this picture. Look at that. Isn't that gorgeous? So just beautiful, beautiful waterfall. Now this is part of the Blyde River Canyon, and there are two rivers that come down into this canyon. And as you can see, they're very popular with visitors, and there's these really nice bridges so you can get around. And this is some of the river teeming through this beautiful rocky canyon. That's Brett. Brett, our wonderful guide. He's taking a picture of us on another bridge. And this is the only picture I got of him, but he was just such a delight, such a joy, and I would do a trip with him again anytime. He was brilliant. He loved the land. He loved the people. He loved the animals, the plants. He was so knowledgeable. So that's our Brett. And this is, again, that river coming through this gorge. And this is the river going down. So I'm on a bridge, and this is the river going down away from me. They do call this the Grand Canyon of South Africa. It's not as deep as our Grand Canyon, but it's obviously very impressive. Normally, Brett said the water is a very beautiful sort of green, but with all the rain, it got pretty muddy. There you go. There you see the canyon. Just beautiful. Now, as that water runs through the canyon, it turns this oxbow. And, this is fascinating to me because if you look at the foliage here and the rocks, it looks a little bit like where I live in Colorado, where we have these red rocks. And there's more greenery here. But this is the river, and those are the white parts, obviously, are the rapids in the river. And this is where it ends up feeding into. Look at that view. This is just magnificent. Obviously, there's a lake there, and then the plains ahead of us. Just gorgeous. This is an rhododendron in the forefront here. There's another picture a little bit higher up. Just stunning. It almost looks like a mesa, Patty and Gloria, right? They don't call it that. They call it a flat top mountain because mesa obviously is a Spanish word for table. But yeah, looks a little bit like our Western landscape, except for all the water. There you go. Isn't that stunning? Oh, just exquisite. So you can see in the bottom of the picture, the Brown River. coming in to that more blue lake right there. So that gives you a little sense of how the water's normally more of a blue, and the muddy river is coming into it. So we're looking straight across here. So if we turn, there's the river. See where the muddy river runs into the more blue? That's why I took that picture, because it was kind of interesting to see the two waters merging. Now, looking to my right, so I was looking straight ahead and to my left, looking to my right, these are called the chief and his three wives. And I don't know who the little person is here, but the chief is the Table Mesa there, the Table Mountain. And then you see these three rondelles, they're called, just like, remember my little hut that I stayed in? That's what they look like, right? So the story is that the chief had three mischievous wives who helped him defeat a rival tribe, and so this was named for them. And we're like, mischievous? What's the deal? They were way more than mischievous. They actually won the day for him. But you know, women are not terribly honored in Africa, sadly. So, but isn't that magnificent? And you can see the clouds and the mist. We just kept praying that these clouds weren't going to get so low that they covered this, because you can see on the Table Mountain there that it's coming in. But I love it with the mist. I think it's just exquisite. And there's a little bit close up of two of them with some of the mountains in the background. Just amazing. And again, these are outside of the park. And this is a coleus. Coleus is an ancient flower, and it is actually the state or national flower of South Africa. And it is a fascinating flower. It starts in this sort of like cone, and then it opens up and is just beautiful. Very ancient, primeval, millions of years old flower. And there's a beautiful shot of one, a little bit slightly different. But it has, I don't know if it's related to rhododendrons, but the leaves are very similar. If you look at that, they're quite similar. Now, this, because it was very misty and rainy, this is the last place that we stayed, and it was called Old Joe's Skaya. And that is, I don't remember what language, but this home was built in the 1930s. And it is this absolutely exquisite brick house that they have built these lovely rooms off to the left, if you will, private rooms with private baths, and just this gorgeous place. And the woman that owns it, she and her husband, it actually went out of the family for many years, and then she and her husband were able to buy it back. So her grandparents actually built this place, and it had the most beautiful energy, you guys. We just walked in there and we're like, this place is magic. And Marianne and her husband Paul had 3 cats, and we were greeted by one of them at the door. And so all of us who were all cat people were like, oh man, do we feel super wonderful here. And Marianne is a vegan cook. And we had dinner there and we had breakfast there. And her cooking, this is the living room. Look at how lovely that is. Just cozy, charming. They had all kinds of book nooks all over. You can curl up and read. And I mean, I could have stayed there at least a week. They do retreats there. They've also built a labyrinth, and they do a lot of spiritual retreats there. It's just, again, just gorgeous energy. So there's the living room and there's the dining room table. So that's where we had dinner and breakfast, and you can see through the door there, the deck that I'm going to show you in a moment. But she created the most exquisite meals. They were as beautiful as they were delicious. And, I've never had such beautiful, tasty vegan food. There's Marianne. She's telling me all about the deck. And so this is one side of the deck. This is the living room is behind it, just to give you an idea of where we are. And this is on the other side of the door. This is just a little table. And looking out on this view. That's the view from that deck. And again, the mountain's a little shrouded in clouds, but it was still so peaceful, so quiet. And it's right off the main road. But we never heard the road. It was really amazing. In the morning, you see those big palm leaves. In the morning at around 4:30, I woke up to this pitter patter that my Colorado brain, it sounded like hail to me. And then, of course, I woke up in the tropical forest and went, oh, that's rain on the big palm leaves. And that's what it was. It made it there, it's quite noisy, but it was just beautiful to wake up to the rain on the palms and, all this beautiful greenery around. And this painting was done by her mother, Marianne's mother. And this is one of the famous tuskers of South Africa. These guys were huge. They're quite a bit larger than any elephants today. And she painted this, I think, in the 1960s. And they had a book about these 7 grand tuskers. And different, and other artists had done sketches of them and paintings of them. And so I said, well, what happened to the tuskers? Well, guess what? In the 60s, most of them were shot. Stupid humans. But at least they were preserved in these beautiful paintings and artwork. So this guy stands at least 3 to 4 feet higher than any of the biggest elephants today. And he was around in the 60s. So magnificent. But that is a big painting. That is not a small, and she was so cute because she said she had that painting for years and didn't have any place to put it. And finally, when they moved back into the family home, it found its home. So I had to take that picture. Just stunning. Oh, I have something really cool to tell you guys. World Wildlife Fund put up a little wildlife quiz. And one of the questions was, how many muscles are in an elephant's trunk? And they gave you different numbers to choose from. And they said, in a human being's body, and our entire body, there are 600 muscles. Does anybody want to venture a guess at how many muscles are in an elephant's trunk? Just their trunk. Because it's staggering.
Right.
Anybody want to guess?
It's more than 600, that's for sure. You've let us know that.
Definitely way more than 600.
Is it in the thousands?
It is in the thousands. It is 40,000 muscles. 40,000 muscles in an elephant's trunk. Can you imagine? I mean, that's just, I think that gives me at least an inkling of how extraordinarily sensitive and the trunk is, and how much it can feel and smell and do with that. And we're just mind blowing, huh? No, I did not guess 40,000. I think I guessed the lowest one, which was like 10,000. I'm like, oh, come on. So I was totally blown away by that. This is Netta, and Netta with her beer and cat. This was one of Marianne's kitties, and he had they'd only adopted him a little while ago, and he'd just been neutered, and he just wanted to be loved on. He's the guy that met us at the door. And he has a funny name that I can't remember. It was it's a Zulu word that I just can't remember, but he was so dear, and he just got on everybody's laps and just got loved on. So I just wanted to share this because this was such a precious picture. She's such a kitty person. And that was so dear. So, and my last picture for tonight, as you guys remember, maybe you don't. So when we drove, so part of all that scenery was actually, we left Old Joskaya, and then we did that trip. And then we drove down to Johannesburg. So we did a ton of driving that last day. And when we got to Johannesburg, Bonnie and I caught a plane, Air France, to Paris. So 10 hours later, we landed in Paris at Charles de Gaulle Airport, which is a beautiful new airport. and it was dark because it was something in the morning before the sun came up. I don't even remember. And of course, being in Paris, I had to do two things. One was Marcus said, I want something from Paris. I'm like, I'm only in the airport for 4 hours and there's perfume everywhere. I'm not going to get him perfume. What am I going to get him? So I'm wandering around. I'm not going to buy wine. That's just dumb. So I'm wandering around, and what do I find but a chocolate shop? And so I tasted some of these incredible Parisian chocolates, and made by a master. I could read it to you. It's very funny. Do a dramatic reading of the chocolates, but it was perfect. So I bought him a box of very expensive chocolates. But then for me, I had to have this. So of course, even though I do my best to be gluten free, I had to have a coffee and croissant, a pain au chocolat, that is a chocolate croissant, from this little breakfast place. And I loved it because it was organic coffee and coconut milk and this beautiful pain au chocolat. So that was my Parisian breakfast while we waited to board our plane for another 10 hours to Salt Lake City, where we went through customs, which was a breeze. Thank goodness, because in Denver it's takes a while, and they get the dogs out, and to make sure you're not bringing fruit or any contraband back into the country. But gosh, in Salt Lake City, it was do you have any fruit on the automatic computer screen? No. Did you buy more than $800 worth of stuff? No. Okay, you're done. So that was lovely. And then we flew back to Denver and home from there. So my trip home was about 30 hours, which was grueling. That was the hardest part of the whole thing. But I have beautiful memories. I have these gorgeous photos, and I wanted to, continue to share. Tamar is finally back from South Africa, and she is busy loading up all of Diana's pictures. As I mentioned to you, Diana was our photographer on the Mozambique leg of the trip, and she took a lot of pictures of us doing stuff. So with the Zodiac, by the ocean, I don't know all the pictures she took because she took her phone a lot of the time. Other times she had her camera. So I think we're going to have some really great pictures to share. I just don't know how soon that will be. So I'll have some more sort of people-oriented, and I know she has also some great wildlife shots because she had a great lens. So I will pick some of the best of those for you as well, because I know they're better than mine. And Bonnie, it will take Bonnie some time to upload hers because she was very sick after the trip, or during the trip and after the trip. So she'll get around to her photos at some point. But Diana's are ready. So I will share those. And if I can figure out how to share some videos through a PowerPoint, if anybody knows how to do that, I'd love to know. I think the tricky part is I've got them. Yeah, it's how do I download them to my computer so they can be uploaded on the. That's what I've got to figure out how to do. So that is my show for tonight. Would anybody like to ask questions or see any of those slides again? I know I kind of went through them a little quickly. So you can unmute yourself, *6, if you have any questions, comments. Nope, okay, that's fine. I just
want to say thank you so much for sharing. It was all beautiful.
Oh, my pleasure. I'm so glad we got to see some of that extraordinary scenery because that was just magnificent. As cold and windy and rainy as it was, didn't rain the whole time, thank goodness, or we couldn't have been taking those pictures of the chief and his 3 mischievous wives and the Blyde River Canyon. So I'm glad I got to share those. Any other questions about any of the other slides or any of the animals? Anything else you'd like to ask or share?
Honey, can you hear me?
Pat, yes, Patty, what?
Wonderful. Wonderful. Excellent stuff, Pumpkin.
Thanks.
You know, really, really excellent. And of course, I'm staring at this cocoa. Of course, you would leave that up there. And I'm starving. So I'm salivating, looking at this, going, I would like to be there sometime.
You have to go
Anyway,
all the way to Charles de Gaulle to get that croissant and that organic coffee.
Of course, down in the tray
Coconut
is
milk in it.
made of organic waste and paper.
Yeah, yeah, see that? The tray,
Yep.
I made sure I got that.
Yeah,
This
good
tray
girl.
is made out of organic waste and paper to
That
reduce
does
our.
bring some ideas to your head, however.
So I got to practice my French, and it was fun because I was talking in French to the gal at the, at the little restaurant, and I said, pardon me because I haven't spoken French in a while, and I said, how am I doing? And she said, oh, you're doing really well. So that was fun.
What a hoot.
That was fun. So that is it for tonight. I'll just go back, give everybody a little review.
I love that.
Which?
The
This?
painting.
Isn't that beautiful?
40,000 muscles. No wonder.
Oh my God, I know. That beautiful view from the old Joskias. So
I love
cozy.
this house. I want
know.
this house.
And this is kind of classical South African from the 30s. These beautiful, a lot of brick, these big windows, beautiful. Look at that. Beams. Yeah. Just lovely. So cozy. Like I said, I could just stay there for indefinitely and eat her amazing food. So, coleus. Amazing plant. You see the little bee in there.
Oh, is that what that is?
Yeah, there's a little bee in the center of the flower. Yep.
Yeah.
I see a foot.
You
What?
do?
I see.
Oh,
a
my
foot.
foot.
Look at that long toe. You have a long, big toe.
That's right. That's my long, big toe. Good catch, Pen. I didn't see that was in there. That's funny. There they are, the three wives.
Girls.
I don't know what this little one in the front is. I don't know if that's a kid or what that is. That's so stunning. And obviously nothing, I mean, there's a lot of wildlife that lives out here too. We didn't see any, but you can see how forested it is. So
That is stunning, Pumpkin.
I know.
Really like that.
Yep. Then that gives you a sense of the size. With you see the people on the bridge there. There's our brat. Just stunning. Look at how the river's carved those rocks.
Very, very Utah.
Huh?
Looks very much like Utah.
Yeah, yeah. And the river coming in. That's really one of my favorite pictures.
It's stunning, sweetie, and you can almost feel the moisture on your face.
I know, with the mist coming from the waterfall. Yeah.
Look at the power.
There's our little water bucks with the toilet
Look, their
seats.
butts. They're
I
so
know.
cute.
I know.
Target.
I know. That's
Yeah.
the problem, right? They're a little bit of a target there. Look at there's his handsome self.
Beautiful.
That looks like a painting almost.
I know. Isn't he stunning?
Yeah.
Just magnificent.
I wonder how old he is.
He's in good shape. He's probably in his prime.
Good.
Probably
Did
in
you
his
talk
prime.
to him at all?
Not really. That was kind of a tricky part on the trip. I wish we could have done a little more animal communication, but it's just sort of like moving on and not a lot of chance. So Kudu moving off, but look at those horns, you guys. I mean, and they get the first curve, I think at 2 years old, we were told. So he's a very mature buck, but in fabulous condition because it's so green. I mean, there's plenty of forage. Sorry, that sucks. There's the pretty little gal.
She's sweet.
Isn't she pretty? There she is. Yeah, so those were our pictures from today. And then we had, all the animals from last time. So I believe that's all of my pictures. Of course, I left some out that, were either redundant or, I felt were not just make things too long. So, so there we are. So thank you again for joining me. And I think I will put some of these up on YouTube to share. So anyone who is seeing this for the first time and is not part of our Harmony Pack, please join our Harmony Pack, which is our membership community of those of us who are deeply committed, heart and soul, to the preservation of Mother Earth and all of the beings that we love so much on Mother Earth. And our energy is shared every week with each other, and also as we gather together and we share our energy and we hear messages from the wild ones, or we have our guest speakers, we are putting out that loving energy into the world, and it's making a difference. So I thank everyone for their part in our Harmony Pack so far, and for those of you who are interested in exploring it, please go to www.myharmonypack.com. So thank you all for being with us tonight, and lots of love, and we'll see you next week.
Night.
Good
Night,
night.
honey. Give me a call,
Night.
Kate.
Bye.